All right, recording, and it's recording. Hi guys, my name is Joel Elster, and this is the first ever podcast that I have ever tried to create. So I just want to quickly introduce you to Sam. Sam, I've known him for a very long time. We used to work with each other. I used to work for him back over in Spain, in Marbella, and we've been in touch for many, many years. He followed me over to Dubai, and now he's back over in Romania, is it?
Yeah, we travel a lot, but at the minute my wife is Romanian, so I'm over here for a bit, just chilling and things like that.
Perfect, amazing, amazing. And a little bit about Sam. He has been a mentor for a very long time, and he is an amazing coach. Like I've worked for a lot of companies and I've had a lot of sales trainings, but when you have Sam as part of your team and he is teaching you how to sell, how to make some sales, it is crazy. Like I'm going to go into a bit of detail now, but Sam, I'll pass over to you. Do you mind giving a little intro?
You're flattering me, mate. You're flattering me. Thank you very much. Nice to see everybody. Yeah, I'm Sam Olawale. I guess I've been in sales all my life. I didn't think I was back in the day, but somehow, sales jobs kind of are one of those things. You're going through life, you're backing up, and then boom, you end yourself up in a sales job. And then I kind of took to it. And then, yeah, I managed to hire a lot of people. I was sales and marketing director for a property investment company in Spain. And then, like Joel said, he was the, let's say, the leader of the pack. He went over to Dubai and I swiftly followed. Things didn't go too well in Dubai, but I managed to, when I left Dubai, I managed to then start my budding e-commerce career. And now the rest is history, I suppose.
Amazing, amazing. So I actually recently got back in touch with Sam because for the last 8 months, like most of you know, I started working in marketing, and Sam has had an extremely successful career, earning millions and millions of pounds in e-commerce. So today, what I want to be talking about is sales online and offline. And if anyone has any questions after this, we're more than happy to jump in and ask and answer any of your questions. Cool. So Sam, I just really want to jump straight into it. Really, like, how did you go from doing offline sales, jumping into the online world?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's something I think many people want to know the answer to, because there's so many people who are working sales jobs, and kind of like what I said before, most people in sales, they don't plan to be in sales. They try a bunch of things in life. Maybe they're discontented in their job or things that don't work out. And somehow, boom, you end up in a job where you have to dial for dollars or you have to talk for dollars. And people don't necessarily realize how they end up there. But then when they're there, they kind of get stuck in a rut when it comes to sales jobs. So many non-salespeople are working sales jobs. But yeah, I guess there's a different way. And when I decided to leave the world of sales, whether it be telesales or face-to-face sales, and come and do this e-commerce thing, I guess I didn't realize how much overlap there was. Like, I look back now and, well, right? When it comes to the sales that we were doing in Spain, it was a very high level, high ticket sale. When we were talking to really high net worth people, we were transacting, doing deals of over $100,000 plus all over the phone. Investor never sees us, investor never sees the assets. So it was a really hard sell. So our sales skills were really forged in the fire. And from doing that and now doing what I'm doing now and being really successful at it, I realized that there's so much synergy between the two. Like, if you can truly if you're a great salesperson naturally, I don't think necessarily matters whether your medium of executing that sale is over the phone, face-to-face, or like I'm doing now, online and e-commerce. But I think the one biggest differentiator I would say between what I've been doing in sales in my life and what I'm doing now in e-commerce, the one differentiator I would say is storytelling.
Absolutely.
Being able to tell stories is the king. And I don't necessarily mean just, the first act, the middle, and the ending. I actually mean, let's say, rather than storytelling, let's say craft narratives. If you know how to craft narratives, and you have a great product to go with that narrative, it really does make, it really is the first step to being really, really successful when it comes to online. I guess crafting narratives is kind of what would replace when we spoke before about making friends or fact finding. When you first start talking to somebody, whether it's face to face or on the phone, in order for you to get that sale, in order for you to make any progress whatsoever, the first thing you have to commit to is making friends with that person. Because like we always said, like I've always been rambling on about, people buy from people they like. So the narrative is this, would be the thing that replaces that, I would suppose, in a weird way.
Absolutely. And I love that you touch base on storytelling, you know, because you guys probably have a lot of friends who are great storytellers, and no matter what they're saying, you're so engaged into what they're saying, like you're so excited about the story, like they have your full attention. And it's just, I totally agree with you. Storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. It's the key, really, I think, to everything that we do online, more importantly.
Absolutely. Nice. So Sam, I've got a few questions I want to ask you, just because I really appreciate what you've done. I admire what you've done. I'm a big fan of what you've done, and I'm here to learn a bit about you as well, and about how I can actually progress to the next level. So just before I ask you a couple of questions, I'm just going to quickly give you a little background about me, for you that don't know. So I was in hospitality for over 22 years, and
one of the best, might I say, one of the best.
And what I absolutely loved about hospitality is not so much the customer service, it was the customer experience. You know, like it's very easy to give customer service. Customer service a robot could do. But what I realized is there's a huge difference. So for example, why would someone go into a nightclub or into a beach club and spend stupid amounts of money, you know, even paying prices that are double, triple anywhere else? Because it's an experience. It's something that you can't take away. It's something that money can't buy, you know? So if you do not provide an experience, why would someone buy that product? It doesn't matter what price it is, you know, whether if you have, for example, two of the same products, right, at complete different prices, and if one of them has no experience whatsoever, but the other one is much more expensive, and you're going to create an experience of a lifetime, what they're going to buy? Obviously the most expensive one. Like it's value over price. So yeah, so I've always been about the experience. So moving from hospitality, I ran bars, clubs, restaurants. I had my own vegan restaurant as well. And what I tried to do with the vegan restaurant was I wanted to kind of preach veganism without kind of preaching. So what I did, I actually created, I wanted to sell through people's eyes before taste and smell, still an experience. So we came up with these really cool, like colorful burger buns and hot dog buns. And then we went to market. Now, the thing is, like, we thought we knew what people would like, right? But at the same time, what you have to understand is what you like isn't always what everyone else likes. So instead of just going to market and saying, right, I know this is going to work because I like it, right? And if you have that mentality, your business is going to completely die. So then after that, what you need to do, you need to get feedback. Make sure every single time you're talking to a potential customer or a client, you need to get as much feedback as possible. It's crucial. So your business will only grow if you listen to what your customers want. That's rule number one. And we're going to touch into that a little bit more a bit later. And then after that, I thought, you know what? I've been traveling the world in hospitality. It's really good, but it's it consumes you. Like, I lived and breathed hospitality, and it was great. But like when everyone was on holiday, I was working, or so I never really had the quality time to spend with my family. So then I decided, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to work online anywhere in the world and work when I want, where I want. So I always thought, okay, so I've had great experience with, the customer experience side offline. What can I do to kind of create that online? So, so that's when I started getting into, online marketing, trying to understand the online world. And exactly what Sam said before, there's, if you know how to sell offline, it's very, very similar processes online. In fact, online can potentially be much easier because of the targeting and so on. So yeah, that's a quick intro to my background.
Well, I'll touch on that because one thing, I made a few notes to the side, but one thing I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say online is easier, but you know what it is? Online scales way bigger, because when you're
Well said.
when you're working in hospitality, right, you're still selling your time. Like you said, if you give someone a really great experience, that person will buy the 1,000 bottle champagne instead of the 300 bottle champagne, right? But the thing still is, your time is still limited, right? There's only so much you can earn. Whereas with e-commerce, it's the complete opposite of that. If you have systems in place, and it's a real big discussion to have separate from now, but if you have systems in place, you can really scale so big, so fast, so quick. But you know, that's like I said, a separate discussion. And the problem there is having the wheels fall off because you're scaling too fast. But I made a couple of notes here, which I think are interesting. You said one thing there about your restaurants and coming to market and how you kind of assumed what the customer wanted. Now, I've made that mistake before in the past, and it's cost me a lot of money.
I think we all do.
Yeah, it cost me a lot. It cost me about 600 grand in one like day, or one like 48 hours getting it wrong. So I've gone through that experience of getting it wrong. But now that taught me, at the time it was really tough to deal with that loss. But now I've really, especially at the time, 650 was a lot for me to lose then. But now I've really come full circle to taking it as one of my strongest strengths now, because what we do, we have such a vigorous structure for testing new products that come to market. So I'll tell everybody a little bit about what I do in as plain English as I can. And then I'll come full circle to what you were saying. So what we do, we actually invent new products from scratch. We invent them, we develop them, we manufacture them, and we do the full turnkey solution of also doing all the marketing, all the branding, all the customer service. We do everything in-house, right? So I've got a team at the minute of around 15 people full time, and we have a few freelancers that we use as well for different bits and bobs. But in our core team, we're a bunch of graphic designers, video editors, video film in the production team, copywriters, email marketers, just trying to think of all the different customer service, manufacturing and optimization, product design as well. Yeah, so I think that, and then obviously we have operations, accounting, all boring stuff. So I managed to put together really an amazing team. Like, my team are just phenomenal. And what we do is we look for gaps in markets, and we try to create products that either fill a gap in the market, or we make better versions of what's already out there. So we do a lot of research, a lot of market research, a lot of studying. And the funny thing is, coming full circle, I lost a lot of money by assuming I knew what people wanted, and I never would make that mistake again. And now we're so thorough with our research. We research not just the product. In fact, the product is actually one of the latter things we work on. The first thing we actually research is the niche, the problem that people face in that niche, what all the customers have been talking about in that niche, find a hole that we think we can plug. And then after that, we start going through the ideation phase with my product design team of what we can make to fit that gap. And we also test so much the narrative. This is what I was saying, like, even if we've got a great product, we need to know what message fits that product.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing we focus on a lot. The next thing we focus on a lot is the audience. So we need to know firstly the narrative, then we need to understand which audience fits that narrative, and then we also test the price, because there's no point having a product if people don't want to pay the price that makes it profitable for us as a business. So they're the three key things that we test before we bring a product to market. And we really focus, we have a very strict criteria of what we bring to market. So we focus on evergreen products in evergreen niches. In the past, when we first started out, we just wanted to launch products and bring them to market because it made a buck, right? We made really good money. But I realized because my goals, you know me, Joe, I've always had lofty goals. So my goal is hopefully to get to 100 million in the next, let's say 3 to 4 years. If we're going to get to 100 million, we cannot, and that's 100 million per year. We want to be doing 100 million in turnover per year, but we're not going to get to that level unless we have products that we can scale for many, many years. So that's why we spend a lot of time researching all those key things to make sure all the stars aligned. And just like in any business, you can align all those stars and still it won't do well, or you might do well for a small amount of time and then competition comes in and copycats come in. There's so many hazards in business, but our plan is to we're doing this, is to do this for the next, let's say 5 odd years, and build 5. We want to build 5 brands that fit these criterias and try and scale each one of them to $100 million. I'm very sure not all of them will do that, but we're going to try our damn hardest to do it for all of them. And we see where the chips fall, you know, by the end of 2024. We actually have it written down in our company manual, and everyone, it's like, I've got everyone like robots. They remember
love it,
the
love it.
audacious goal that the company is going towards. So yeah, that's what I do. And yeah, what you said there about testing everything really hit home to me, because it cost me a lot, especially back then when that amount of money was such a huge amount of money for me to lose, that lesson was really painful for me to learn. And I learned it the hard way. So we've all been there.
I love that. I love that. Thanks for sharing. Well, I know you probably don't want to give away your secrets. I'm just going to tell you how I kind of do our market research. So obviously before putting a product out there, there's so many different ways at the moment where we actually read reviews, we go into Facebook groups, we start chats, surveys. So just giving a couple of examples. If you're going to launch a product similar to something that's on Amazon, search Amazon, read all the feedback, all the reviews, get all the negative, all the positive, see what they're talking about, and then kind of see what it's got in common. You know, what can you fix from that, from the negatives? Like, I love negative reviews are the best, right? Because you can actually understand what people care about the most. If you go onto Facebook groups, like I always say, where does your audience hang out? Like, there's so many cool, amazing, like Facebook groups. I call them communities. So where does your, you know, community hang out? What groups are they in? So if you're launching a product or service, it doesn't even matter. There is a Facebook group for that. So jump in there. If you jump in straight away and you start trying to promote and ask questions, then you probably get kicked out. But if you slowly start, you know, reading people's comments, posts, trying to find language to use, and then eventually you do a little post, maybe you message them separate. Like, you know, there's so many ways to do product research, and people aren't utilizing it enough. And it breaks my heart when I see people putting all this effort in launching a product, but they haven't done the basics of what are people complaining about before launching your product. It's insane.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know what's so funny? There is no secret to what we do. I mean, we do so we call it, how can I put it? We call it an epic. So what we have in the project manager, our head project manager and the head copywriter and head researcher, they get together and they create this document, this spreadsheet, and we call it the brand epic. And in this brand epic, we have everything there in all the little tabs, right? And we have all the research, the copy, the brand script, the Facebook ad copy, the product benefits, the product features, the deep dive breakdown on the audience. There's so much stuff in that, but we put it all centralized in one place. And the reading of the comments from competitors on the likes of Amazon or things like that is something we do very, very much. And we take it to a really high level. So once we literally collate every single comment from Amazon. We scrape every comment from Amazon, and then we use a software, I can't remember what it's called, to start picking out all the keywords. We want to know what are the main words that audience is talking. So for example, if we're looking at a fishing product, it's very different to a product for, let's say, babies, okay? How they speak or what the mothers say when it comes to a baby product, the linguistics and the language is very, very different to the guys in the fishing niche. So we really try and highlight what keywords they use, apart from just researching product. We want to know the lingo and the language and the lingo they use, so that we are then using that same lingo in the ads, in the videos, in the narrative, in everything that we do. We want to be using the same, as much as we can, the same copy to them. So yeah, that's one big portion of what we do for research as a foundation before we even consider looking at developing a product in that niche. So that's something that we do as well. And I loved what you said about negative comments. If you remember, back in the Spain days when we were talking, you know, when I was giving everybody the training on the phone, and you have the 5 steps, you make a friend, you build desire, you handle objections, you fact find, all that stuff, right? And remember, there was the little technique I was teaching, which is, if you've done the first part right, you've made friends and you have the information from them, and you get the previous experiences that client has gone through, positive or negative, really the best thing that's going to help you close are the negative experiences, because they're the ones that hurt the most. People will, if someone won $1,000, they will be happy with that, right? But if someone loses $100 or gets cheated from $100, that will sit with them way longer than them winning $1,000. So pain always has a much higher threshold of staying in someone's mind. So what we tend to do when it comes to, again, that's why there's so many similarities to selling face-to-face or on the phone compared to what we do now in e-commerce. Once we know that there's a big problem in a niche, or once we know that the customers are moaning about one specific thing, we really go out of our way to make content about that problem. We actually make content specifically for that problem. And that tends to be actually the best performing ad creatives, and the blog creatives, and the content we make are actually problem solving videos and content. The stuff that actually promotes the product isn't actually the best converting. It's the stuff that addresses objections from the very beginning that actually helps us convert the most. It's crazy. Once we really stumbled across that, it really unlocked, it really took us to a whole new level. And now we really center, we're very problem centric when it comes to our product development now as well. But it started first with our narrative and copy.
I love that. I love that. Because I always say that the minute that someone feels like you're trying to sell to them, they're gone. You've lost them. And again, the minute you try to solve someone's problem, they're gone. Why? And why am I saying that? Because you don't want to go and problem solve. You want to problem find first. Mm-hmm. You know, you need to touch, as Sam, you said it amazing. Like, you need to find out what people's pain points are. There's no point trying to sell to someone without understanding why and what. So what I always say is, be as curious as possible. Like if it's offline and you're selling over the phone, ask questions, be curious, you know, because if you're selling something over the phone, like we've had experience with, and someone's been burnt from someone like you, or been burnt over the phone, be curious. So, you know, if they say, oh, you know, I've been burnt by someone like you before. Oh, what, someone like me? What do you mean someone like me? Oh, you know, you're trying to sell me something. Well, I don't have anything to sell. First of all, I just want to, you know, find out if I can even help you. Like, I'm not here to sell anything. Why? Okay, well, tell me. Well, when you mean you got burnt, so what was that product? You know, and then you start asking questions. Like, it can be half an hour conversation of just being curious and asking questions. And what you need to try and do through those skilled questions is not just ask random questions like, how's your dog? It's trying to actually, the best way to describe it is trying to open a wound, right? Try and hurt them, right? They're going to come up and they're going to stab themselves and be like, oh my God, like, yeah, that really hurts. And we're the ones that need to come with the Band-Aid and fix them together. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm really pleased that you touched on that pain point for sure.
Yeah. I mean, from just looking back as well, that actually ended up, even when we were working back in the Spain days, some of our best clients were the ones that, you know, we really spent the time to understand what's happened in the past. We go out of our way to try and help them in other areas of life. And then once you do that, really what you're doing first and foremost is building trust. No one's going to buy from someone they don't like, and no one's going to buy from someone they don't trust. So by helping them, you're not only, you know, being a nice person, which, you know, makes you very likable, but you're also building trust with them, especially when someone's going to hand you, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars like we were doing back in Spain. So I think it's quintessential to what we do. And also, I've written down here about with e-commerce, it goes the same way because it's part of the narrative. So people watching this, one thing, I don't know, if you haven't heard of this book, I really advise everyone to go read it. Maybe, I don't know if you've read it, Joel. It's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
I'm actually listening to it now on audiobook. That's really funny.
It's a really good book. And what it does, it really helps you understand that in order for you to
Fire your message.
Just going to quickly show you. There you go.
That's the one. Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. So you have to really make sure that, you know, you understand your audience deeply. Like, so many people brush over this. So many people are so product centric, whereas you really need to start with customer centrism first. And when it comes to the customer, not just what you think they want, but what problem, what deep rooted problem you think you can solve. And then that's really now, that's so quintessential to our product development side of our business. Like, we only look, we have our criteria of the sort of products we want to bring to market that are evergreen. But the biggest thing that the product has to do is solve a real fundamental ubiquitous problem that people have every day. If you can make products that do those things, then, you know, you've really just saved yourself so much hassle. You've created a blue ocean and you're not swimming against the tide. So yeah, this is something we've really internalized.
Absolutely. And then what I always say as well is, if you do not do your market research, you don't know what kind of language you need to use as well. Now, I always like to use this scenario. Okay, so when you're selling any product, it always falls under three categories. I'd like to hear your kind of view on this, Sam. So I always say there's three kind of categories that anything falls under. You've got health, wealth, and relationships. Okay, so whenever you're selling anything, you can't sell a product to all three. It doesn't work. The language just doesn't work. If you think back to a Gillette advert, and this is, you know, you guys probably heard this before, but if you think back and you're sitting in front of a TV, you're watching a Gillette advert, you've got this guy shaving, right? All of a sudden, this woman comes over, strokes his face, they both smile. Who have they sold to? Was it health, wealth, or relationship? It's relationship. So if you sit in front of the TV, or if, you know, we see over 5,000 ads online and offline on a daily basis. Every time you see one, what I want you to do is, if it makes you scroll stop, right? Or you're scrolling, and if it catches your eye and you stop, you think, okay, what is it about the ad that got my attention? Okay. And then think, okay, are they selling health, wealth, or relationship? You know, what's the hook that actually grabbed my attention? So all these things are really important. What's your view on that, Sam?
Yeah, I would say so. I'll break it down and make it a bit more granular as well, because yeah, and what you said at the end, we call it thumb stopping. We say this all the time when it comes to the creative team. Is this thumb stopping? We always want to make the most thumb stopping content we can. The thing that we break it down a tiny bit differently. That does work as well. I've read many that use those analogies and categories. We break it down in also three ways. You have products where so let me give you some foundation. Look, I talk a lot about products because many people think marketing is about sales, and it is, but without a great product, you don't have anything, right? So I'm really focused on making amazing products, especially now as we're really growing really, really big. So we break it down like this. The first thing a product you can do, okay, let me start again. So I'm getting my words mixed up. So basically, every single product in the world pretty much has been made. You're not going to come with something, you know, absolutely revolutionary. Like very, 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 very rarely do you get revolutionary products, right? So first and foremost, you're never really going to bring something to market that doesn't already have a huge market for it. And if you do, you run a big risk of failing, because we used to try and always want to reinvent the wheel. That's very risky. So I wouldn't advise doing that. So the first thing you have to understand is products are already out there, already exist a lot. So if you want to break it down as to what sells the most or how you sell the most, having products that let's say build on already existing problems can work well. That's tier one, right? Tier two is giving someone kudos, right? Which is making a product that lets them feel very empowered emotionally in one way, which kind of boils down to the relationships or health, you know, giving them that kudos of letting them look better than their peers, or giving them that flashy car, which lets them know that, you know, lets their peers know that I've done really well in life and I'm successful in all these things, or you know, having a flashy watch, let's say. So there's products that fit in the kudos category as well. So there's products that solve a problem, that improve on what's already out there. Then you have products that do that and also give you a lot of kudos, right? And then you have the products that also integrate multiple problem solving into one. So you have problems that build on one thing, products that give you kudos, and products that amalgamate multiple problems being solved in one. Now, if you look at the product that is really fits the mold, I would say it's the iPhone. And the funny thing is, the more you go up that tier, those 3 levels, and it's really hard to do the 3rd level, but the more you go up that tier, the more money there is to be made with your product. Because if you can make a product that is better than everything else already out there, adds kudos to the person, so it makes them feel very uplifted and lets them be above their peers, okay, and has that bragging right, turns them into what Donald Miller would say, a hero, the hero effect, and you're solving multiple problems for them in that product, you have $1 billion product, which is why the iPhone is one of their best-selling products ever. It does all 3 of those and more. It was, when it first released, it was better than every other competitor phone out there. It added kudos to you because the thing looked so cool with all the features that it had, all the revolutionary tech, and it solved so many problems. You can listen to music, you can make phone calls, you can make video calls, you can send text messages better and easier. Like it had a camera, it brought so many different functions into one thing, so many problems solved into one thing. So I would say, once you have the product and you know which category you're in, many people make the mistake of not knowing their lane. Because you might have a great, I mean, I was talking to a guy the other day who's got, he was doing an e-commerce brand, and he had like a jewelry product, and it was doing really well. He was doing okay with it. And, you know, he made about 300-400K in profit in the year. And he was now thinking, oh, let me go and buy the machine to, you know, so I can move away from the manufacturer and I can start manufacturing the product myself. And I was just like, I just wanted to slap him, because I was like, the thing that you're missing, and again, it goes in stages of entrepreneurship. And I say this to lots of people, cash flow. If you don't understand cash flow, you don't understand anything.
Absolutely.
Cash flow is a topic you should study in and of itself, separate from even business, entrepreneurship, marketing, sales. Cash flow is, and no one preaches this. I don't know why, it blows my mind. People need to study cash flow, how money works, how you take money and deploy it throughout the business so it gives you the most, let's say, reward back. You know, you want to send your soldiers out there, and you want those dollars to come back with prisoners, as Mr. Wonderful would say from Shark. So people don't study cash flow. And I was kind of snapping. I was like, look at your cash flow. You've made now, let's say 300-400, I can't remember what you said, 300-400K in profit this year on like 1-point-something million in sales. And I said, look, if you go and buy that machine, okay, you're now going to invest all the profit pretty much from last year, like 8% of your profit, buying to carry zero, and you now have such inherent risk, when really what you should have been doing is enjoying this little thing that you've created, which isn't huge. It's still very small, even if it's making like, I think 1.6-1.7 million, it's fine, but it's still very small. You should use this as the practice bed, because it was a guy selling like this female jewelry, and I was like, you're a guy, right? You don't wear the product, you don't use the product, it's not your passion. It's not even that you're selling it really well because you have a great narrative. It's because it's a slightly custom product and people can customize it. And I was like, if you look at your sales, you make a lot of sales in like birthday season and the Christmas season, let's say, right? Apart from that, you have big gaps in the year where you don't make profit. So I don't think this is a business you should be looking to scale big. It doesn't hit those criteria. Enjoy it, enjoy the money, go buy yourself, you know, a nice car, invest it in some property, and think deeply. The kid was only like 23. Think deeply on where you want to position yourself and build a brand for the next 4, 5, 6 years, and plant your flag there. And all these ideas you have that you're trying to apply to this little jewelry thing, which you just stumbled across by accident, apply it there when the time comes. Trying to apply this now to this product where you have no real interest in, but you're just trying to do it to make money, even though you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot. Because if you want to make real money, the key to understanding it, once you understand how to make products and do marketing and build a team and run ads, and once you understand all of that, the thing that really takes you to the next level, the thing that I'm really trying to master now, is becoming a master of cash flow, a master of making money work in ways that works for me rather than money being a problem. Because growth, especially when you have really expansive growth like we're having, cash is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal. You know, I'm looking for, right now, I'm actually looking at the minute to get a line of credit for a couple of million, just to take away all our marketing costs. I've already found the credit to take away all our inventory costs, or a big chunk of it, in the way that we have our formula or our business as such, the way we have our strategy. But now I'm looking to do this for our marketing. And this is my next, let's say, big lesson I need to learn as an entrepreneur, right? So there's really a lot behind it that you need to, there's levels to this game. And as I move up the levels, I realize how far I still have to climb, right? So yeah, I'll just, as a caveat to everybody, cash flow. If you're an entrepreneur, if you really want to go to the next level, one of the things I'd advise you study from the very beginning is cash flow and how money actually works in business.
Absolutely. And you couldn't have said it better. That was absolutely amazing. I'm going to give you an insight to a similar story that I have as well. So when I had the Green Grill, we also launched our own vegan meat company. And basically what we wanted to do is we wanted to be the UK's first vegan butcher. But what we wanted to do, we didn't just have a product that we thought we enjoyed and try to sell it, like going back to the previous story, is at the Green Grill, we made all our own sausages, all our own burgers. And before actually going to market, we actually served 60,000 people our food, perfected it. And we thought, okay, now we've got the perfect recipe. What do? Do we actually go and start investing in equipment, or do we just try and find a co-producer and get it all co-produced, right? We got to a certain point where we're like, do we want to focus on sales, or do we want to focus on being the manufacturers? Because to start, if you want to be both, it is impossible. Correct. Like you can't, like people don't understand how much effort and how expensive it is to buy the equipment, you know, get the staff let you down. Like if you start off with sales, you need a very small team. Right. But if you have a manufacturer, if you have a warehouse, you start buying all this equipment and stuff, like it is so expensive. So what we did, we thought, okay, let's find a co-producer, you know, let's go to try and find a couple of different places in case that one all of a sudden goes out of business. We've got, you know, plan B and they can make our produce as well. We started doing extremely well. We got into 26 different restaurants.
Awesome.
Everything was going amazing. And we thought, I'm so happy we haven't gone down the manufacturing route, right? Because what we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure we get to 3 million first. Once we get to 3 million, we know it worked. Then we could potentially look into, you know, either getting it manufactured ourselves, or, you know, just stick with sales. So we actually, you know, this was the time when we really started to understand cash flow, right? And the way we actually looked at it is we would only be saving ourselves like 17p per burger if we did it ourselves. But the amount of time that it would have taken to do that was another 3 years. So I was like, let's just focus on sales. Now, unfortunately, it didn't work because as soon as it started taking off, COVID hit. COVID hit. We had like a couple of pallets that we couldn't get rid of, and life happened. So yeah, so unfortunately that didn't work. But you know, I totally agree. So when you are trying to sell a product, don't try and do everything yourself. Try and get it outsourced first. See if it does work. If it does work, you know, there's a few different routes and roads you can go down.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. It's hard because every product is a bit different. Like now we've done the usual, because I'll tell you how it goes in e-commerce, right? I'll tell you how it works. So it's really funny how people get into e-commerce, how people get into sales. It's very similar. How it tends to work: they were working a job, something happens that forces them out of that job, and they think, okay, I've heard about this making money online thing. That's how everyone gets into it. People want to make money online, which for me just doesn't make any sense. You make money, whether you do it online, offline, it doesn't really matter. Business is business, right? But people in their minds, they get sold by these gurus that say, who teach you how to make this, teach you how to do that. So people hear about making money online. Then when they start looking into it, they realize there's like 2 or 3 ways to make money online. There's selling stuff on Amazon, right? Drop shipping products straight from AliExpress and Alibaba, straight to customers, or selling online courses, right? So they're the 3 predominant ways people who want to make money online enter the market. And when I first started, I did the same thing. I entered the market selling stuff on, actually our first website was, I never sold anything about how to make money online. That was never my shtick. I didn't want to do that because I love making money. I love being really, really aggressive with sales, but I'm not a dishonest person. So I didn't want to try and be someone I'm not, trying to sell other people on how to make money online when I was just starting out and I hadn't made any money online. But that doesn't stop many people. You'd be surprised. Wow, so many people are selling courses and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Anyway, so I didn't want to do that, but I sold an information product. We had a really nice information product that helped people vocationally get a job in a certain industry. So we launched that website. It went really, really well. We made a few $100,000 in our first year in profit. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can do this. Was like 4 years ago. I was like, wow, okay, I guess I can do this. So then after that, so after like 6-7 months of doing that, we realized it was going to work. We moved into the next phase that most people go into, which is selling stuff on Amazon. So we then started selling stuff on Amazon. We went through the usual Amazon bullshit, sending products there, blah, blah, blah. We did that. And then after about 6 months of doing that, I said, oh, it's making us a bit of money. There's this drop shipping thing. Let's now drop ship as well, because Amazon's a pain in the ass and they take too many fees. Let's drop ship. So then we started doing drop shipping. And then we did that for like another 6-7 months. And it's kind of like all of them kind of overlapped. And then as we did a new one, the other one just died slowly. And then we got to the next shiny object syndrome, the other one died. Then we jumped on the next shiny object syndrome, the other one died. So I've been through, let's call it the evolution of the e-commerce entrepreneur, right? And now I'm at the phase where the thing that really turned for me is like 2.5, 3 years ago, when I decided, look, selling information online doesn't work, it doesn't scale. Even if you're going to be good at selling information online, there's so many websites that rip off your course, because the second you have it online, someone just gets a screen recording, presses record all the way through it, and then someone else just sells it for like, you're trying to sell your course for $2,000. Someone's going to be, there's so many websites online that sell your exact course for $20, and everyone knows what these sites are, right? So I realized, okay, I'm never going to get to $100 million that way. Okay, try this Amazon thing. And at the time, I wasn't even thinking about $100 million. I was just trying to make, some money to, if I could make a couple $100,000, and I would have been happy. But then, as you get to the next peak or the next horizon, the next one, comes up. That's the sort of person I am. I always look for the next horizon. So I wasn't even thinking big back then. But either way, I knew that courses wouldn't work. Then I got to my next thing, which was Amazon. And then with Amazon fees and, sellers hijacking your listing and the fake reviews, and then the Amazon a few years ago did the review apocalypse, where they just removed so many reviews, and you could have gamed the system back then with fake reviews and given away units. Again, you can't do that easily anymore. So I realized, okay, shit, I'm not going to get super rich doing Amazon either. But I'm doing this drop shipping thing. Maybe this is the way. And then with drop shipping, you have the shit. You never can control the quality. Your ad account's getting shut down left, right, and center. Your Stripe account's been shut down. PayPal holding your money for 6 months because you've got too many chargebacks. And after going through that, I was like, oh, shit, I can't get rich doing this either. Like, and the funny thing is, I've got friends now who are drop shippers who, put all the pain and energy to get around those problems, and they're making a few mil a year in profit. Where I've got some friends doing that, but even they look at me and they're like, you know what, Sam? They still have the pain. It's kind of like they're making such good money drop shipping, but they know they'll never get to the sorts of levels that they want to get to, that I'm slowly now coming to, unless they let go of the drop ship. They have to take a few steps back to take 10 steps forward, and they really hesitate on doing that. I don't know why, they're pussies, but anyway, they have enough money in the bank to do it, but they just don't want to do it. But anyway, so once I realized drop shipping wasn't the thing for me either, a real epiphany happened in my head, and I was like, look, if I'm ever going to get to unleash and unlock the potential I know I have to, this is a great quote. I guess I don't know where I got it from. I think I might have got it from someone, or maybe I coined it a bit myself, but it's this. If products are variables in your business, then you will struggle to make it big. And when you're drop shipping and when you're doing Amazon, products are variable. All you're ever looking for is a next hot product to sell. You never actually care about your product. Drop shippers at some point try and buy a few products and try and customize it a little bit, but it's not the same. It's not the same. So once I realized that products can never be variables, the product actually is everything. So if I'm going to make it to where I want to make it, Sam, I need to make my own products. And then shit, I need to design them from scratch, because I just can't do what the Amazon people do, which is contact a few manufacturers in China, change the logo from that logo to my logo, change the color around, change, the things around the edges, packaging. That's not going to cut it. Shit. I need to design products from scratch. And so it took me like 1.5 years. I managed to find 3 amazing product designers, and one of them now is the head of manufacturing as well. He basically lives in China, going back and forth. We manufacture all our products from Asia. And now, or it took me 1.5 years to figure out, now we've got a system, like I said, we've got a checklist of criteria for the sort of products that we're looking for, that we will go into as a niche. We make sure that the product is designed to a certain level and without letting anything out of the bag. I mean, you've seen some of our products, right? You've seen the innovation that we have in our products.
Absolutely.
So yeah, now we've gotten to that stage, we know with a very high degree of certainty, and touch wood, that nothing necessarily bad happens. I'm sure it will, we'll figure it out. But we now, with a high degree of certainty, know if we're going into a niche and we're making a product, when we're working on 3 really amazing products right now, we've done so much research, we've got the track record and the history and experience, we know it has a really, really high likelihood of making us tens of millions of dollars, potentially even up to $100 million. But at the very least, we'll always make at least, like, we'll always get to, let's say, 8 figures with the product before it dies. But we're not in it for just getting to 8 figures. We want to get products that can get us to 9 figures. But in general, yeah, it took me about 1.5 years to figure out this formula. And now, as you like I said, you've seen our products, we're really cooking with gas. We're really looking to expand massively this year. And COVID was a really tough year for us, but it actually ended up being our highest grossing year. We made more money last year than we've done ever. And now we're looking to really 10x that number this year. And so far we're on track. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the challenges of this year, and just understanding that the evolution of the e-commerce entrepreneur tends to be exactly like I've just said it. You find out about making money online. You start with, maybe some online courses. Then you try and maybe launch a course yourself, or you go straight to Amazon, then drop shipping. And people tend to stop there. That's where they stop. And what happens is they either try drop shipping, it fails. And then what they do is they become an agency where they do it for other people. And it doesn't matter where you go. This is the thing I'm trying to explain. It doesn't matter what you want to do, whether you want to, I've got friends who are selling 10, 20 million a year on Amazon. I've got friends who are doing 10, 15, 20 million a year drop shipping. I've got friends who have agencies which are doing 50, 60, 70 million in ad spend a year, right? I've got friends doing all of these things. So it doesn't matter what you want to do. I've picked the hardest thing to do, which is invent, manufacture, patent, create, and launch and sell your own products and your own brands. That's like the pinnacle, right? I've chosen the hardest thing to do, but it doesn't really matter where on that matrix you're going to plant your flag. There's a million ways to make $1 billion. So whatever you choose to do, it's really your ability to learn, be super conscientious, understand that there's levels to the game. And when you get to the next level, you need to realize that you should be already studying about the level above, because it's kind of like being a shark. If you're not swimming, you're dying in this game. So yeah, that I guess would be the advice I would give to people who are in this e-commerce, let's say, world of ours.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's amazing. So for those who are just starting out in e-commerce and they're not sure where to go or what to look for, would you recommend looking into what kind of products you want to go down? Do you want to go down a product where it solves pain or where it gives pleasure? Pain could be something, could be I don't know, let's say a knee brace, or or bandages. It's solving pains that you need, and pleasure is something like luxury, something that's going to make you feel good. So what would you say the first step would be for someone who's got a full-time job now and wants to start dabbling into e-commerce?
The first, to be honest, I don't necessarily think it matters what you choose to sell. What matters most is your ability to learn fast and implement. You see, there's a thing in economics, or just in general, I don't know whether it's economics, maybe I'm talking shit about that, but there's a thing called the generation gap, right? Where our parents, and I think it's just evolution, the generation gap, where our age group, right, we are smarter and more efficient than our parents' age group. Basically, we know how to absorb data, process it, and apply it faster and better than they can. right? And now I see the kids of tomorrow, like, fucking hell, they're going to surpass us. What these kids can do on social media and other mediums is so far ahead that even I'm struggling, you know? So it's kind of like, I think it's just life evolving. So I would say the most important thing is your success won't be determined by whether you choose to go for a problem-solving product or a kudos or hero championing product. I think the thing that's going to determine your success, obviously they're both important, right? You have to answer the question, I would always go for problem solving first. Problem solving is it's easier to sell pain than it is to sell pleasure, right?
Absolutely.
So that answers that question. But I want to go a bit deeper on that, because I think the biggest thing, in my opinion, would be your success will be measured on your ability to learn and apply information really, really quickly. If you're going to be good at e-commerce, you need to be like, even if you want to have a chance, you need to be like an 8 out of 10 on like 10 key things. In e-com, if I just look back, just off the top of my head, you have to be good at research. You have to be good at data analysis. You have to be good at data collection. You have to be good at hiring people. You have to be good at running ads. You have to be good at sales. You have to be good at copy. You have to understand email marketing. You have to be good in general at understanding new apps, because there's so many apps you need to use in order to win. You have to be really good at understanding new apps. You have to be good as well at understanding the marketing platforms like Facebook. Facebook is very, very different to Google and YouTube ads. Like, they're literally galaxies apart, but you have to be able to go into a new platform, decipher how it works, and understand how you can apply it quickly to what you want to do. You have to also be really, really good at understanding narrative. You also have to be really, really open to listening to ebooks all the time. I mean, audiobooks all the time, always listening, always studying. So there's like 10 to 12 really, really core things that for you to be successful, you have to be at least a 7 or 8 out of. And that's why the most successful people, I think the people who are going to rule the world in the next, in the next generation, Google call them T-shaped people, right? And what does that mean? It means you are like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 across those key things. But then whenever you need to, you can go really, really deep on one of them, fix problems, put out fires, explode something to grow that area of your business, then systemize it, automate it, and hire someone else to do it. Then you come back up and carry on, floating at that level until you realize, okay, now the next place I need to focus over here, go deep, expand it, someone come back up, you're floating again, looking for the next thing, the next place you need to focus your attention. So the people of tomorrow are going to be the T-shaped people who are able to do everything to a high level themselves, but not do it themselves. Go in, fix an area, make it big, systemize it, automate it. Then your ability to hire as well is so huge. You're never going to grow big unless you can hire a great team and motivate them and manage them. So yeah, that for me is the biggest thing. If you want to know if you're going to succeed at e-commerce, you have to be a well-rounded learner. The people who are the well-rounded learners and the people who have execution skills and the bravery, they're the absolute fundamentals before you can do anything good. Then you have the real, the higher level, the higher learning, the higher skills, which is becoming an expert at money management, becoming an expert at crafting narrative, becoming an expert at truly understanding the foundation of your customers, and also understanding how to build teams, not understanding how to organize. It sounds so stupid. You know what's so funny? Do you know what I would say is #1 predictor of success from my side? I can pretty much tell if someone's going to be really successful with one key question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you with spreadsheets? That answers most questions. If someone is like, I'll ask them, how many spreadsheets do you have in your company? Like in your Google Drive, or where do you centralize all your data where your team works? Okay, great. How many spreadsheets do you have? If that person isn't like, fuck me, I've got so many spreadsheets, if they don't start with that, if they're not like, fucking hell, I've got so many spreadsheets, that person probably isn't successful. You cannot be successful if you're not managing data. And it seems such a silly question, such a silly rudimental, like, what does that got to do with anything? It has everything to do with everything. If you don't have systems in your business, if you don't have spreadsheets, if you don't have organization,
foundations.
Yeah, you can't scale. So
Absolutely. Yeah, because we see as well, we're scaling rapidly. And for the first 2 months, we were doing 20% sales, but the majority of it was SOPs. We do some sales, we make some mistakes, we build SOPs, and in every single SOP, there's a link that goes into another SOP. So it's like, if you don't, it's like building a house.
yeah.
If you're trying to build a house with no foundations, what's going to happen? It's going to collapse. So I totally agree with you. Sam, listen, I know your time is extremely valuable. I've just got one more question for you. Really appreciate your time. My question to you is, in terms of scalability and in terms of taking your business to the next level, at what stage and at what point would you say you need to start hiring people? Would you say when you hit a certain income, or is it when you hit certain amounts of clients or sales? What would you say is crucial?
Yeah, it's the typical chicken and egg problem. What comes first? And what I would always say is there's a few rules of thumb. I can't give you a universal answer or a general answer because every business, everybody's different. What I would say though is a couple of rules of thumb I can give you. Number one, always hire the manager first. Always hire the manager first. Always hire the person who you want to be your manager first. They might work underneath you. They might be a junior. They might be let's say an executive to begin with. But the first person you should hire for any position in your company should be the person that once you train them up has the skills to be the manager in that area. Do not hire.
Great advice.
Yeah, do not hire minions. Because if you hire minions, there's only a certain amount of minions you can manage, and then your time gets taken up with the minions, and then it's all over. So that's one piece of advice. When to hire, I would say you would always look to hire when you max out your capacity. It's not necessarily about how much you make, it's about your capacity. I would say that it's the 80-20 rule. You need to figure out where in your business, if you need to put 8% of your time on the 20% most important things in your business. Everything else you should let suffer, right? And on that 80% where you're putting all your time, when you're maxing out there, hire someone, even if it's painful, even if it's expensive, because if you can't afford to hire someone in that area where it's the most important in your business, you will never get out of that prison. You'll never get out of that prison. Yeah. So even if it costs you money up front, even though you're running a loss leader at the beginning, just know if you don't do it, you will forever be there. So
hiring before it's too late.
Yeah, hire when it hurts and hire the manager first. They're the two things I would say.
Brilliant. Amazing. It's been lovely catching up with you. Again, I'm a huge fan of what you've done, what you've accomplished. And yeah, I mean, let's keep in touch. Let's take this offline. For everyone who's watching this, thank you very much. Can't wait for your feedback. And please, what I'll do as well, if Sam allows me, I'll drop in a couple of links in the future about his products. And yeah, we'll go from there. Sam, thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks, Joel.
Cheers.